Get my guitar out. Okay, that was it nice. All right. Just about finished. Jaiva Dharma. Okay. Whoops. Okay. All righty. Ready to go. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinatha Madana Mohan, Shaiva Kunda Randa Kunda, Giri Govardhan, Kandani Jamuna Jaya 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 Mahava, Ishigar Vamshi Pacha Swanasakana, Yakasavalila Koela Shinanda Nanda, Shri Nanda Jasoda Jaya Jaya Gopaga, Shri Ramadi Jaya Jaya Dinupatsa, Jaya Shivam Chakya, Kirtida Sundari, Jaya Purnamasi Jaya Vira Nagari, Jaya Jaya Gopishara Vrindavana Maharaj, Jaya Jaya Krishna Sakavati Jwira, Jaya Rama Jaya Rohini Nanda, Jaya Jaya Vrindavana Vasijata Jaya Jaya Twija Patni kanya gana Bhakti Jaya Harapailo Govinda Jara Shira Samandala Jaya Jaya Radha Jaya Jaya Rasa Leela Savamanura Jaya 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 Rasa Sarva Rasa Sara Harakiya Bhavaya Brajate Shara Jijana Korea Rasmana Dina Krishna Dasa Koe Nama Sankirtan Jaya Rane Jaya Krishna Jaya Murina Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paramdikacharya also Teta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Vaya Chalanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Parem Se Kahu Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Tiruvadasami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shivagalasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees, all glory is the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Jinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deja Tarane Prabhupada Ki Jai. So let me read the translation. All glories to Radha Krishna and the divine forest of Vrindavan. All glories to the presiding deities of Vrindavan, Shri Govinda Gopinath and Madan Mohan. All glories to Shamakund, Radhakund, Govardhan Hill, and the Yamuna River, Kalindi. All glories to the great forest known as Mahavan. All glories to Keshigat, the Vamshivat tree, and the 12 forests of Braja. At these places, the son of Nanda, Shri Krishna, performed all of his pastimes. All glories to Krishna's divine father and mother, Nanda and Yashoda. All glories to the cowherd boys headed by Sri Rama. All glories to the cows and calves of Braja. All glories to Radha's divine father and mother, Vrishabhanu and the beautiful Kirtida. All glories to Purnamashi, the mother of Sandavani Muni. All glories to the young cowherd maidens of Braja. All glories to Gopishwara Shiva, who resides in Vrindavan, in order to protect the holy Dham. All glories to Krishna's funny Brahmin friend, Madhumangal. All glories to Ramagat, where Lord Balaram performed his Rasam dance. All glories to Lord Balaram and his son, to Lord Balaram, the son of Rohini. All glories to all of the residents of Vrindavan. All glories to the wives of the proud Vedic Brahmanas. All glories to the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Through pure devotion, they all obtain the lotus feet of Lord Govinda. All glories to the places where the rasa dance of Sri Krishna was performed. All glories to Radha and Shama. All glories to the divine rasa dance, which is the most beautiful of all Lord Krishna's pastimes. All glories to the mellow of conjugal love, which is the most excellent of all rasas and is propagated in Braj by Sri Krishna in the form of the divine Padakiya Bhav. Remembering the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda's consort, Shri Janavha Devi, this very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna sings the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. That's a song by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, so now let us proceed with the reading of the Jaiva Dharma. And as we mentioned several times before, this particular section of the Jaiva Dharma deals basically with a summary or description of the Nectar Devotion Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is being done by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because the Jaiva Dharma was written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, Om Ganati Madanda Shah Gananjana Shlakaya Chakshur and Meditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. So we will share the screen. Here we go. Oh, I've got so many things here. Okay. So we're going through the different principles here of bhakti, the angas. The angas mean the branches of bhakti. So, of course, it's a discussion between Vijay Kumar, Brajanath, and on the other hand, there's the Babaji explaining these things. So Vijay Kumar is the uncle of Brajanath. Brajanath is the nephew. That's what it means to be uncle. You must have nephews. So Vijay Kumar said, or asked the Babaji, what is giving up enjoyment for Krishna? Now, this is an interesting thing, what is enjoyment? What does giving up enjoyment mean? Babaji said, enjoyment, or enjoying, means experiencing happiness from eating, playing, etc. All such enjoyment is contrary to bhajan. So, there's a lot of enjoyment that's actually helpful to bhajan. I'm not saying you have to just be there, an ascetic, sleeping on a bed of nails and not have a soft cushion to sleep on. But one needs a certain amount of enjoyment. Let me just explain this. Because Prabhupada said, sense gratification is necessary. And he compared it to S-A-L-T. Let me just turn off this phone. Salt. And so why did he compare it to salt? Because too much, you will get sick. Too little, you will get sick. So you got to have the right amount. Eating too much or eating too little makes you sick, makes you weak, whatever. So if one gives up that enjoyment in favor of Krishna bhajan, then one attains bhajan easily. So here we're talking about enjoyment that is actually the opposite to Krishna consciousness. Not just some innocent enjoyment, like playing chess or something like that. A person attached to material enjoyment, like a person attached to liquor, cannot perform pure bhajan, since his contamination of material enjoyment is strong. Thus, one should eat only prasad and protect one's body suitable for service. So in other words, the amount of enjoyment necessary to keep you stable, steady, and take care of your needs. More than that is contrary. On Ekadasi, one gives up all enjoyment. One must give up enjoyment in this way. It's a high standard there. Oh my God. So, the point is, another way to explain this so you don't get all frightened out of to death here, is to give up the enjoying spirit. Krishna will sometimes put you in a situation where there's more external enjoyment. Sometimes he'll take you away from that particular situation. But the whole idea is not to hanker for it. We just accept whatever Krishna sends as his prasad or mercy. Vijay Kumar said, "What is living in Dwarka or near the Ganga?" Not Ganja, Ganga. Ganga. Babaji said, if one lives in places where the Lord took birth or performed pastimes or near sacred rivers like the Ganga, one becomes fixed in bhakti. And Vijay Kumar said, is living in Navadvip pure because it is near the Ganga, or is there another reason? Good question. Babaji said, the person who lives in the 16 kroshas of Navadvip lives in Vrindavan, particularly if he lives in Mayapur, among the 7 cities that give liberation, Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi. I don't even know where Maya is. Maybe someone knows. Kanchi, that's Kanchipuram. Avanti, which is where Krishna got his instruction from Sandapani Muni. That's near Ujjain. Actually, it is modern day Ujjain. And Dwarka. Mayapur is the chief tirtha. Now, what does the word tirtha mean? Tirtha means like a crossing place, a place where you can go back to Godhead just by being there. Particularly Mahaprabhu appeared here, called Svetadvipa. 400 years after Mahaprabhu, this place will be the chief of all tirthas in the universe. That means right now. If one lives in this place, all offenses go away and one attains pure bhakti. Prabhupada Saraswati described this place with great glorification as non-different from Vrindavan. In fact, elsewhere Bhaktivinoda Thakur states that Mayapur is Gupta Vrindavan. Gupta. Gupta means hidden Vrindavan. So Vijay Kumar asked another question about one of the angas or branches of bhakti. What is living with minimal needs? Don't get scared. Babaji said in the Naradiya Purana, it is said, Yavatashyat swa nirvaha swikuryata varartavit arikye nyunatayam cha chayivate paramartata. The person with wisdom concerning material objects accepts as much as necessary for the maintenance of bhakti. By accepting more or less than that, the person will fail to attain the highest goal. It's exactly what we talked about before. One should not eat too much, eat too little, have more money or whatever, material goods than one needs, actually. The person qualified for Vaidhi Bhakti should live his life, earning his livelihood by pure means according to Varnashram, along with a life of Dharma in this world. And of course, that refers to Varnashram, refers to whether one's a brahmachari, a grahastha, vanaprastha, or sannyasi, also refers to if one's a brahman, a kshatriya, vaishya, or shudra. If he accepts what is necessary, it is auspicious for him. If he is greedy to accept more, his bhajan will be destroyed by attachment. If one accepts less than necessary, he will be at fault because of the lack of necessities. Exactly what I said. If you don't get sufficient food, you'll be weak. You'll be crazy. Until he is qualified for renunciation, he should cultivate pure bhakti, living a life of dharma, accepting what is necessary for maintenance. So once one's a pure devotee, then you don't really have to worry. It's like Madhavendra Puri. He just depended on Krishna. And Krishna sent whatever he needed, and Krishna didn't send what he didn't need. Vijay Kumar said, what is respecting Ekadashi? Babaji said, this is interesting. Pure Ekadasi is called the Day of the Lord. Contaminated Ekadasi should be rejected. If Mahadwadasi arrives, one gives up Ekadasi and fasts on the Mahadwadasi. That's when there's some contamination on the Ekadasi day. What that means is it's a mixed day. It's not a pure Ekadasi. Mixed means there's 2 moon days in one, or on one Sunday. Not Sunday, one day of the week, but there's Sundays. The Sundays are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Those are the Sundays. And the moon cycles twice, actually twice, well, once a month, but actually has 2 cycles in each month. It has the Gaura Paksha and the Krishna Paksha. That means the going to the dark, going to the light, first of all, going to the dark. Actually, it's light in the beginning, then it goes to the dark. That means the new moon. And then it goes to the light, which is the full moon. Okay. So Kadasi is the 11th day after the full moon or the new moon. Got it? So, so when it's a mixed day, in other words, it doesn't actually, the moon day doesn't exactly coincide with the day of the sun. That's a better way of saying it so you don't get confused. Then it's mixed, and so the next day is considered Mahadwadasi, and then you do fast on the Mahadwadasi. One should observe brahmacharya on the previous day and fast without water on the Kadasi while staying awake all night doing constant bhajan. The next day one breaks the fast at the correct time while observing brahmacharya. That is respected Ekadasi. One cannot observe fasting without water without also giving up eating Mahaprasad. Where one is incapable, there's a substitute, anukalp. That means that one can eat havishan, shana, etc. at night. Now, anukalp means like very simple foods. Although Prabhupada in the beginning, he actually gave us the Kadasi feast. So just do the needful, increase. The main thing about Ekadasi is you increase your hearing and chanting, and no grains, and no beans. And try to stay away from the normal Maya things you do every day. I mean, sometimes I mentioned to devotees, one of the main austerities I perform on Ekadasi is I don't look at the news on Ekadasi. It's austere. For me, it's just like, oh my God, what's happening in the world? What's happening? Who's bombing who? How will the world go on with my paying attention to what's happening in the world? You know, oftentimes we think like that if I don't look at the news, well, the bad things will happen. Well, I got news for you. Even when you look at the news, bad things happen. And then you get upset with it. So sometimes it's better not to look at the news, at least not to be addicted. So on Ekadasi, I don't look at the news. I stay away from the news. And I increase, instead of reading the news or looking at the news, then I'll increase my hearing and chanting. But, you know, other days I will look at the news. The reason I'll look at the news, not because I'm in complete Maya, is because I want to know what's happening, and this helps with my presentation of Krishna consciousness to people. You know, if people ask me, you know, what do you think about the presidential race? And I say, what's the presidential race? And who's running? Then I will appear extremely out of touch as a member of a cult, and people will think this is weird. This guy is really weird. So Vijay Kumar asked, what is respect for Datri, Amalaki, and Ashvatha trees? That means the banyan tree and the Amalaki tree. Babaji said, in the Skanda Purana is written, Ashvatha Tulasi Datri, Go Bhumi Sura Vaishnava, Pujita Pranata Dhyata, Shapayanti Nranamagam. Human beings destroy sin by worshipping, respecting, and contemplating the Ashvatha tree, the Tulasi tree, the Amalaki tree, the cow, the Brahman, and the Vaishnava. real common. The person qualified for Vaidhi Bhakti, situated in samsara, means repeated birth and death and material energy, and passing his life, must worship, offer respects, and meditate upon the shade trees such as the ashwatha, fruit-bearing trees like the datri amalaki, worship trees like the tulasi, animals which benefit the world like the cow, persons who teach Dharma and protect society like the Brahmin, and the devotees. By these activities he protects the world. So here's the next one, number 11. So I guess we're going through all 64 here. What is giving up? So these are practical instructions for all of us. What is giving up persons averse to Krishna? Number 11. Babaji said, when Baba arises, bhakti becomes deep. As long as Baba does not arise, one must give up association contrary to bhakti. The word association means attachment. Contacting various people while doing one's duties is not association. In other words, don't worry if you have to go to work and you're contacting people. That's not association. Association would be like revealing the mind and confidence and stuff like that. If one develops the desire to contact other persons, this is called association. You know, close contact, intimate contact. Association with persons averse to the Lord must be given up. When Baba arises, no desire for such association appears. The person qualified for Vaidhi Bhakti must give up bad association with great care. Just as a creeper is destroyed by a soft wind or some heat, the creeper of Bhakti becomes dried up by bad association. And of course, Lord Chaitanya was asked one time, what is the quality of a Vaishnava? And he said, a satsanga chade Vaishnavachar. A Vaishnava is one who gives up bad association. A satsanga means material association. So we basically have to minimize that. So Vijay Kumar says, who are the persons? He wants to clarify this even further. Who are the persons adverse to Krishna? Babaji said, 4 types of people are averse to Krishna. Persons devoid of bhakti. In other words, they have no Krishna consciousness. Persons attached to women or material objects, and also that refers to women attached to men or material objects. Persons who are hearts are contaminated with mayavad or atheism. Blasphemous. And persons attached to karmas. Doing good things, you get a good result. One must reject their good material result. One must reject their association completely. Here's the next one. Number 12. What is giving up attachment to disciples? Babaji said a major fault is collecting many disciples to earn money. If one collects many disciples, one makes persons who have not developed faith into disciples. This produces an offense. No one is qualified to be a disciple unless they've developed faith. Very important prerequisite. Faith. What does faith mean? Faith means Shraddha Shabde Vishashakahe Sudrida Nishya, that one understands that doing what Krishna wants will accomplish everything that is needed for me. I don't need to do anything separate from what Krishna wants. Vijay Kumar said, what is giving up efforts in big projects? Babaji said, one should worship the Lord while living one's life. If one starts big projects, one becomes attached to them. One will not concentrate on worship. That's a very interesting thing, because in certain places we see that devotees sometimes are building gigantic temples, thinking that if you build the temple, then bhakti becomes increased. Not necessarily. No, not at all. Bhakti becomes increased by pure chanting, by compassion, by serving the Vaishnavas, not by building temples or big temples. Now, if by building temples will attract more people to Krishna, then building big temples can be accepted. That's the point. It has to be judged on the basis of compassion, odarya, compassion, not aishvarya. Because remember, we talked, actually a while ago, about odarya and Madhurya. We're interested in Adarya and Madhurya in Krishna consciousness. We're not interested in Aishvarya. Aishvarya means opulence. Madhurya means sweetness of Krishna's pastimes. And Audarya means compassion. So many times people think they build a big building and people will come. No. People will not become devotees just because you built a big building, and you may have bad relationships with each other and not be compassionate. So many different corporations have big buildings, and people don't dedicate their lives, unless they're getting paid for it, but they don't dedicate their life, body, mind, and words to that corporation just because it's a big building. It's a big illusion that people have. And I've seen this in some of our centers. Big illusion. It's like that, what was that saying from that movie? You build it and they will come. There was a stupid movie that came up with that saying. I'm not going to explain the movie because it's a Maya movie. So the next one is, Vijay Kumar says, what is giving up studying many scriptures and arguing? Babaji says, the scriptures are a special ocean. One should read with discrimination from beginning to end scriptures on the topic that one wants to learn. If one reads a little of each scripture, one cannot become learned in any topic, especially if one does not read bhakti scriptures completely with great care. One cannot develop an understanding of Sambandha Tattva. That means understanding Krishna, the living entity, and Krishna's energies. One should take the direct meaning of the scriptures. If one interprets, one produces an opposite conclusion. So, in other words, one shouldn't try to display one's erudition by studying many scriptures because the motivation is not pure. Vijay Kumar said, here's the next one, 15. What is not being miserable in dealing with circumstances? This is a big one! Because we have a lot of circumstances where things do not go our own way. Whether those circumstances involve other people, they involve the material energy, etc. We shouldn't be miserable or angry. I remember many years ago, when I was starting the temple here, one of the things that held us up more than anything else, the progress of the construction, was that it started to rain a lot. Rain. Go away, come again some other day. So I got angry at Indra. I'm really angry, Thank God Indra did send a thunderbolt to kill me. Oh, actually, later on, he did send a thunderbolt and destroyed my van. Didn't kill me, but destroyed my second body, the van that I was using for preaching. So Babaji said, to maintain the body, one must have materials suitable for eating, clothing, etc. Okay, forgot one thing. I forgot to put the chat window up. Okay, just so I'm aware if something happens. Okay, if one does not have these, one suffers, or if obtaining these and losing them, one suffers. When such difficulties arise, one should not become disturbed, but remember the Lord. Krishna's made the arrangement. I have to sleep on the floor. That's fine. Krishna's made the arrangement. I sleep on a 4-poster bed. That's fine. Krishna makes the arrangement. I have opulent food. That's fine. Krishna makes the arrangement. I'm just eating raw food. That's fine. It means satisfied in all conditions. Vijay Kumar said, how can one not be controlled by lamentation? That's number 16. Babaji said, how can Krishna appear in the heart of a person afflicted by lamentation, fear, anger, greed, or envy, etc.? Lamentation, etc. can arise from causes like separation from relatives or frustration of desires or losing something. It is not beneficial to be controlled by lamentation, bewilderment, etc. If separated from children, one will definitely lament. Oh, my baby. It is necessary to quickly remove this sorrow by thinking of the Lord. One should practice fixing the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. How does one deal with that? Well, if you're separated and it's not your fault, understand you're seeing Krishna, and that Krishna's made the arrangement. Why has he made the arrangement? Because he loves you, even though he doesn't seem he loves you. He loves you, and he's helping you advance, come closer to him, and be ultimately happy for the rest of existence. Not simply happy for the rest of your life, as that song goes. Vijay Kumar said, one should not disrespect the Devatas. Does this mean that one should worship the Devatas? So this is an interesting point for those of you who are attached to deity worship. Or not deity worship, sorry. Attached to demigod worship. Babaji said, one must have pure bhakti for Krishna alone. One should not worship Devatas thinking they are independent of Krishna. But on seeing others worship Devatas, one should not disrespect the Devatas. Respecting all Devatas, one should always remember Krishna alone as the one's object of worship. As long as the jiva's heart is not beyond the gunas, pure bhakti to the Lord will not arise. Person whose hearts are controlled by sattva, rajas, and tamas worship Devatas of those gunas, goodness, passion, and ignorance. You worship the controlling entities of those particular gunas. Yanti Deva, Ratan Devan. Those who worship the Devatas, they go to the Devatas. They are qualified for faith in those particular Devatas. Thus one should not show disrespect to their object of worship by the mercy of the Devatas. They worship, gradually progressing, and sometime their hearts will become free of the gunas. What does that mean practically? That if you go to someone's house and they have like all these demigods on the altar, there's like 33 million of them. Of course, they can't all be on the altar at the same time. So if they have all these demigods on the altar, you don't criticize them. Basically, what you say to transform the situation is put the Devatas, demigods, on a lower level. Because the Devatas are servants of Krishna, so if they're on a lower level on the altar, what's the harm? Krishna is the supreme controller, and they're devotees. Just like we worship the different gurus in disciplic succession. They're devotees. Krishna likes this. Krishna says one who says is my devotee is not my devotee, but one who says is a devotee of my devotee is a devotee. Is my devotee. Okay, got it? So don't criticize people and don't criticize the Devatas. Vijay Kumar said, what is not afflicting other beings? That means what? Number 18. How to not cause pain to other living entities. Babaji said, the person who is merciful to other jivas gives up disturbing them. In any way, even materially disturbing them. Don't fight with them. Don't get angry with them. Don't yell at them because they cut you off and you're driving your car. Krishna becomes pleased with that person quickly. Mercy is the chief quality of the Vaishnava. Again, that's Lord Chaitanya's teaching. Jiva Doi. Jiva Doi means compassion for the jivas. That's us, at every living entity. I mean, just like today, after I took my prasadam, I was thinking of the animals that live right outside my house. Now, most people would not be pleased with these animals. These animals are known as skunks. Skunks smell bad. It's skunk, that's what it means. And so there's families of them living right in my house and not in the house. I don't take them inside. I would never be able to go anywhere if I did that. But they're living in the drain pipes near my house. And they come out at night and they accompany me to Mangal Arti every morning. Fortunately, they don't give me their perfume. So anyway, so today after I took my prasadam, I left some food for them outside of their drain pipe. Because I'm thinking, I care for them. Now they have this hellish body of skunk. Of course, they're thinking that they have a beautiful body, and they're taking care of their little babies, these baby skunkies there. But, it's a pretty hellish body to have. Nobody wants to associate with you. It's like someone has bad breath, but if someone is a skunk, nobody wants to associate with a skunk. So, anyway, so that's what we should be. We should feel mercy. It's a quality of all living entities. So, next one. Thought that would be humorous for all of you. 19. Vijay Kumar said, what is avoiding the seva and nama aparatas? So seva aparata means the service, specifically the service of the deities. Nama aparatas means offenses to the holy name. That's 19. Babaji said, seva aparatas relate to deity worship, which is what I just said, and nama aparatas relate to bhakti in general, specifically the holy name. They should particularly be avoided. There are 32 seva apparatus, such as entering the temple in a palanquin or with shoes on, etc. One must avoid the nama apparatus, such as criticizing devotees. And other places of the nectar devotion, the seva apparatus and the nama apparatus are listed. Vijay Kumar said, if one should not tolerate criticism of the Lord of the Vaishnavas, is it a rule to argue immediately with the criticizer? This is interesting. So in other words, just to rephrase this, if someone is criticizing Vaishnavas or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, should you avoid criticizing them or arguing with them or defeating them? So Babaji said, those who criticize Krishna and the Vaishnavas are averse to Krishna and not tolerating the disturbance. One should avoid their association. In other words, we don't stay around and argue with them. Now, the only time when it's productive to argue in the sense of defeating them philosophically, ethically, is when there's a large group of people who will be influenced by them, and we want to counter their influence. But if it's just one-on-one or one-on-two or two-on-two, we avoid that. But if you're giving a lecture, like Prabhupada would be giving a lecture, and there'd be some Mayavadi impersonalist atheist who would raise his head, Prabhupada would blast him and defeat him. Actually, generally, Prabhupada would make fun of him, so everyone would laugh at the person. So that's the appropriate way to deal with it. But on an individual basis, no. Individual basis, Prabhupada was extremely cordial. He never really... I get there might be some exceptions, but generally, he was very cordial. Vijay Kumar said, what is the relation between the first 20 angas and the rest? Okay, so we did 20 so far. Babaji said, after the first 20, 44 angas are described. They're all included in the 20 angas. Each anga is individually described in order to understand in detail the 30 items, from decorating the body with symbols of Vaishnava to offering dear items to Krishna, are included in deity worship. Yeah. So, okay, so the more angas are described here. Wearing 3 strands of tulasi beads on the neck and decorating the body with 12 tilak marks is called wearing the Vaishnava symbols. 22. Wearing the names of Hare Krishna, etc., and Panchatattva, etc., on the upper body is the 22nd anga. 23. One should wear the prasad garlands of the Lord as stated in the teachings to Uddhava. Trayo pamokda shakandavaso lankara chachata uchishtavo jino lasastava mayam jayemihi. Simply by decorating ourselves with garlands, fragrant oils, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your meals, we, your servants, will conquer your illusory energy. That's from the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 6th chapter, text 46. So We become free from Maya just by taking the deity's remnants, wearing them. The only thing from the deities we don't wear are the shoes of the deity or the sitting place of the deity. Of course, you can't wear the sitting place, but you don't use the sitting place. Let's say we replace the altar and we put it in your house, then you start sitting on the altar. Not a good idea. 24, one should dance in front of the deity. Very good. These are self-explanatory. 25, one should offer respect on the ground, touching your head to the ground. 26, seeing the deity approach, one should stand up in greeting. That's when they take the deity out in parikrama, parade. 27, one should follow the deity procession. Same thing. 29, one should go to the Lord's temple. Obvious. 29, keeping the deity to one's right side, one should do parikrama 3 times. What that means is clockwise, Prabhus. We don't do counterclockwise around the deities. We do clockwise. Everybody understands that? Clockwise means the same way a clock goes. Clock? Everybody's seen a clock. I'm not talking about a digital clock. We're talking about an analog clock. You know, circle, circle, circle. Many of you have never seen an analog clock. But anyway, that's called clockwise. Anti-clockwise, or in the opposite direction, is what the Muslims do when they go around the Kaaba. So we do not want to do anti-clockwise, because that will unwind our devotional service. 30. One should worship the deity with items, archana. It is not necessary to describe each of these separately. 31. One should serve the deity, paricharya. Paricharya to seva pakaranadi varishkritya kriya, tata prakirnaka tutra vaditra jairupasana. Paricharya consists of decorating the Lord with different items and worshiping the Lord with chamara, umbrella, music, and other items, singing Haribol. 33. Sankirtan Haribol. Sankirtan means congregational chanting. 34. Japa. 35. Yadalti, expressing one's fallen nature. Just say, I'm fallen. You don't have to get into the details in front of the deity. Not appropriate. I'm so fallen. Guess what I used to do before I joined the Krishna conscious movement? I took this, I did this, I was so fallen. Oh, woe is me. What's going to happen to me? That you don't do. 36, reciting verses of praise. That's easy. 37, tasting prasad offered to the Lord. That's easy. 38, tasting or placing charanamrita on the head. 39, smelling incense and garlands offered to the Lord. Sometimes in India, let's go back to 38, sometimes in India where the charanamrita might be mixed with something that may have something else in it, maybe not pure water, then I'll just put the charanamrita on my head instead of tasting it. When I go to certain temples in India, this is to protect me, because the charanamrita is always pure, but the things may have gotten into it. Got that? 39, smelling incense and garlands offered to the Lord. 40, touching the deity if you're initiated properly. 41, seeing the deity, self-explanatory. 42, seeing aratrika, that means Mangalarati, Gora Arati, like at festivals of the deity. 43, hearing the name, qualities, and pastimes of Krishna, means going to Bhagavatam class. Whoops. Okay, let me just finish these. 44, acknowledging Krishna's mercy, so mercifully saved me. 45, remembering the Lord, his pastimes. And 46, meditation on Krishna. So now we will stop sharing and we'll go with the, unstraightforward on this tomorrow. Okay, so I will unmute you, or allow you, better to say, allow you to unmute yourselves. Okay, you're all allowed to unmute yourselves. You're allowed to raise your hand. You're allowed to type in the text window. Who has a question? You can unmute yourself. You can type in the text window to ask a question.
I'm unmuted.
Okay, Jagat, so you have a question.
Yes. Isn't Habhishyana rice and beans according to Krishna book?
Yeah, generally it's like that. I was thinking about the same thing when I heard that. But generally the term does mean unspiced, unsalted, uh, without ghee or anything like that. Boiled. It generally means something just like boiled. But generally, yeah, that's the direct meaning is just something boiled. And then generally it's understood to mean, the grains. But in this particular context, it would mean something very, very simple, just boiled stuff without any frying. Uh, because generally people, they cook by frying. In fact, in the Vedic system, if something is not fried, it's considered raw, which is interesting. But Havishan is something boiled, but in the case of Ekadasi, it wouldn't be grains. I mean, I just trying to understand that too, and that's the conclusion I came to. It couldn't be grains because grains are absolutely forbidden on Ekadasi.
So sometimes Anna doesn't mean rice.
That's right.
Okay.
In this particular case, it would mean Swadana Triptim Harivakta Sangam. It would mean basically something is chewed rather than just rice. Saying Amrita Pao Radha Krishna Gunagat. You're referring to the Prasadam prayer. So
Yes.
Jitendriya Tehekala Jivafulay Vishaya Sagray Dharmadev Jivayati Lobamoy Sadurmati. I have to look up the direct meaning of okay, let me just look up. Hold on a second. I will look up in my handy dandy reference and see what the whoops. Food grains. But oh yeah, here's another one. In the context of anamaya, where one's consciousness is just dependent on eating, it just refers to something generic of eating. That's interesting. And other places called in the expression shaka anashishta means simply a remembrance of foodstuffs. Yeah, sometimes it's translated just as eatables, and sometimes, the body is called anaras, which means the embodiment of what you eat. Anyway, yeah, sometimes it's not directly translated. That's interesting. You should go back to the Sanskrit dictionary. It is an interesting question.
In Bengal, they think it means rice.
Yeah, well, Bengal food means rice.
Yes.
It's not only if you say food, it means rice. It doesn't mean anything else. So let me go to my other Sanskrit dictionary. This is actually an interesting question where we can tell people that they should chant the Prasadam prayer. Sanskrit dictionary. Monier Williams. Okay. Here's a search. I'm searching my Sanskrit dictionary. And see. Anna, where's that? Anakala. This means food. It's interesting. Huh. When the Sanskrit dictionary just translate at the eating of food. Anadan means giving of food and clothing. Huh. That's it. That's quite interesting. This is I'm consulting what's called the Monier Sanskrit Dictionary, which is actually the
Yeah.
authority. Uh, let's see. Anna, Kosha. Anna. It can sometimes be taken as meaning, uh, well, in Bengali, like food or victuals is the first translation. Anam. It means things to eat. Well, especially boiled rice, bread, corn, or can be understood food in a mystical sense. Uh, hmm. Interesting. That's a good question. Uh, so according to this, it's contextual.
Mm.
It doesn't really directly mean rice. It says food or victuals, especially boiled rice, bread, corn, but food in a mystical sense means the lowest form in which the Supreme Soul is manifested. That's anamoya, which is actually what I just said before.
Mm.
The coarsest, it also means the coarsest envelope of the Supreme Spirit. Wow. Another definition here is water. Ooh. That's interesting. Oh wow! Look at this. All those words they're actually connected. Jivana means the soul that lives by food.
Mm.
Tejasana, Tejasana means the vigor of food. Anadatri means the giving of food. Anapatni means the goddess presiding over food. Annapurna, actually that's a deity in Jagannath Puri, means filled with or possessed of food, which is a form of Durga.
Mm.
But anapras means putting rice into a child's mouth. It's actually a one of the samskaras. It's really interesting. Well, thanks for the question. So, it's all right to say the prasadam prayer. Yeah, like anadana means food donation. So it really doesn't mean directly grains, although it's taken contextually sometimes to mean grains. So it's perfectly all right to say the prasadam prayer during. Hey, you should challenge all these people. I didn't say rascals, almost did, but you should challenge all these people who say that you can't say the prasadam prayer. That is the prasadam prayer because Mahaprasam Govinde is not the prayer Prabhupada gave us. It's not. It's there. It's from the Shastras, obviously. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But the actual prasadam prayer that Prabhupada instructed us in is Sharira Vijaja, to tend you to take less. So it's bona fide to use on Ekadasi. Haribo! Now I can challenge all these people. You gave me some ammunition here. Thank you very much. So, good question. Thank you, Monier Williams, for your insight in the dictionary. I have a searchable. No, Prabhupada didn't give both. It's there in the Shastras, the other verse, but Prabhupada never gave the other one as a prasadam prayer. No, never. So, calm down. So anyway, so that is quite interesting. Thank you very much for asking that question. Now we know. Who initiated using it? The other one? God knows. So many things get initiated in the movement. Especially some of my disciples get initiated. That's the problem. So anyway, So, all right. So on that happy note, now that we understand what to say before we eat, so we should end now. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.